Hello, friends, and welcome to Spirited Movie Companions, a movie podcast from the guys that brought you Bottled and Bond. I am Mike Scott, and I have been watching and enjoying movies since I was a kid in the 1900s, and I've always been interested in their history and the lore behind their creation. So, alongside my friend Charlie, we will be taking a deep dive into movies we choose based on a randomly selected monthly theme. We will also be providing pairings for the movie, which may include other movies, books, music, and, in the spirit of our Bottled and Bond podcast, companion beverages. Today we will be discussing 1978's Animal House. So make yourself some popcorn, find a comfy seat, and pour your favorite drink while we ponder this question. May we have another? This is episode 1, Animal House. Charlie, welcome.
Thank you, Mike.
New adventure.
Yeah, it's like a whole new day in here.
It's like new adventure in hi-fi, I think.
Nice. That's a good one.
We will start off by saying this month's theme. So this month we are doing The Usual, which is comfort movies / all-time favorites. This was your pick for that.
It was. And I'll tell you, it's possible that I've seen this movie more than any other movie, although honestly, I probably hadn't seen it in like 10 years.
Yeah.
But so I was a little bit worried that I was going to watch it and go, maybe it's not as good as I remembered. So we'll see how that goes.
Stay tuned. Our companion beverage today is a Rock and Rye.
Should be. And 7 Carlings.
We're going to be doing a Wild Turkey Rye, a rare breed rye, as our rye whiskey for that. We do have an error and omission from our little Oscar episode. Countess Tracy, if you remember from our great Bottled and Bond podcast, the Countess Tracy pointed out that I didn't make my Oscar picks for acting. I went through them, but I didn't make them. That's because they are all winners in my eyes, and I most certainly didn't forget.
Wow.
Listener comments. Pretty sure we don't have any listeners, so there's no comments there. Recent favorites. So this is going to be a new segment for this one. Have you watched any movies or TV lately that you would like to mention here? This is also the segment called Charlie Doesn't Watch a Lot of Movies.
I saw a movie recently, and I'm actually... That's how good it was. I'm trying to remember what I watched recently. Hang on one second.
Well, while you're doing that, you'll like this. Mm-hmm. Last night, we introduced our daughter to Brewster's Millions for the first time ever.
Oh my God. The one with...
the Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor. And?
She liked it. It's a good time, good nostalgia. So we had fun with that one. Could you spend $30 million in 30 days?
I mean, I'd be willing to give it a try.
I just want the...
And then what? He got $300 million?
He got $300 million. I want the... I want a political sign in my yard that says none of the above. That's where I'm at right now.
Yes.
I also watched all the first 3 of the John Wick movies this week. That's been very fun. Have you seen any of those?
I have not.
Oh.
I feel like I really should watch them.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
And I finished Shrinking, the season finale of Shrinking, which was phenomenal. You're not caught up on that yet, right?
I am almost caught up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm watching the last season, but I have not finished it.
If Harrison Ford does not win an Emmy, I'm going to be very mad.
Yeah.
He deserves one.
I've been out of town for like 4 weeks. So
yeah.
Seriously, my head is spinning and I can like barely remember
Texas,
anything.
Seattle, Charleston,
Yes.
South Carolina.
Texas twice.
Yeah.
Seattle once. Yes, Charleston, South Carolina, which thankfully that was an actual pleasure trip instead of a business trip.
All right. Did you figure out that movie you watched?
No. I'll figure it out. I can't remember.
This will be a recurring
It was
theme.
good. I know, right? I'm telling you, my head has just been spinning lately. Anyway.
So instead of doing a plot summary, we're going to do something called one-shots. Okay. This is where you and I each give a one-sentence impression of the movie. It can be mean, it can be sentimental, it can be whatever. So here's mine.
Yeah.
Given the ages of most of these actors, looks more like 12 years of college down the drain.
Agreed. Okay, here's one. You know, Mike, I was thinking about the end of our previous Bottled and Bond podcast, and I thought that that situation absolutely requires a really futile and stupid gesture,
Nice.
and we're just the guys to do it.
Just the guys to do it. Excellent. I won't do the whole cast, but just most of the cast here, especially all the deltas and everything. John Belushi as John Beluto Blutarsky. Tim Matheson as Eric Otter Stratton. Peter Riegert as Donald Boone Schoenstein. Thomas Hulse as Larry Pinto Kroger. Stephen Furst as Kent Flounder Dorfman. Bruce McGill as Daniel Simpson D-Day Day. James Widows as Robert Hoover. He later became a prolific TV director, actually. And I'm going to give a little background on all these other people as we go through the show. Karen Allen as Katie.
This was before Raiders of the Lost Ark, right?
This was before. This was like her first movie.
Okay, I thought it might be.
We have John Vernon as Dean Vernon Warmer. I like that his last
pretty
name
good.
and his first
I know.
name.
Yes.
Verna Bloom as Marion Warmer. And Donald Sutherland as Professor Dave Jennings. I got some interesting trivia on him.
Oh, good.
This was directed by some no-name director named John Landis. He definitely never did anything else after this.
No, I don't think
He did
so.
do a movie called the Kentucky Fried Movie before this.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, but he would go on to do like not Ghostbusters. Oh crap! Now I've forgotten all of them. I have a list of them later. We'll go through them later.
Okay.
Screenplay by some guy named Harold Ramis,
Yeah, I've heard of that guy.
Doug Kenny, and Chris Miller. Music by Elmer Bernstein.
Now, isn't one of those guys in the movie? Stork?
Two of them are.
Okay.
Yeah, Kenny and Miller are both in the movie.
Okay.
Music by Elmer Bernstein, well known for dramatic scores, including The Great Escape and To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh.
This movie actually...
Maybe that's why it's so good.
Well, that's fun. The funny thing is, this movie started a trend of people doing dramatic film scores for comedy movies.
It
He went on to score Ghostbusters, Trading Places, and The Blues Brothers, amongst a bunch of other ones. Cinematography by Charles Correll. Production design by John J. Lloyd. Music. The main theme song, Animal House, by Stephen Bishop. Stephen Bishop was the guy playing the guitar on the steps in the frat house.
Wow.
I don't like that song. I'm just going to say it. It's
The one they play at the end?
It's the Animal House.
Yeah, you know what? That does nothing for me.
Yeah.
The music they play in the beginning is good because of how serious it is when they're showing the college campus and everything.
But the actual songs in this, it's a great mix of rock and roll, R&B classics from the late 50s, early 60s. You get Shout, originally written and performed by the Isley Brothers, performed by Otis Day and the Knights in the movie. The guy that plays Otis Day, his name wasn't Otis Day, but now his stage name is Otis Day because of this movie.
It would have to be. And I mean, that song,
Shout,
in this movie,
yeah, it's perfect.
It's gotta be, I mean, of songs that were made famous by being in a movie, it's gotta be way up there on that list.
Yeah.
Because these days, I feel like everybody's heard that song.
Yeah. This movie was released July 28th, 1978. So I was -3. You were 11.
11?
Not quite yet 11.
So
Financials.
I'm guessing I saw this probably when I was...
You think your dad took you to see this when you were 10 years old?
No, but I mean, I'm guess back then, right? Because you couldn't just watch it on streaming or even, I can't remember if videotape had come out. Videotape would have been around this time, I guess, VCRs, but the VCR movies were like $100.
Right.
I'm guessing the first time I saw it was on TV in a rerun, which would have been probably a year or so after it came out, I'm guessing.
Budget for this one, we'll do the at the time and adjusted for inflation. So the budget at the time was $3 million, which is $15 million today. Box office.
That is not much money.
No, the box office then. So $3 million it cost to make. The box office then was $141.6 million. In today's
Pretty
money,
good investment.
in today's money, that's 710 million. I honestly didn't realize how big of a hit this was until
Yeah.
I was like doing the research on it.
Oh,
So we talked about your history with this and my history. I mean, I probably saw it sometime in like the late 90s on like VHS or something. You know, I
Yeah.
didn't have the cool college experience, so it really didn't hit for me back then. But
Well, of course, I saw it well before college.
yeah,
But I do remember that my father loved this movie.
Yes.
He loved it. He thought it was so funny. And he, of course, had been to college and had been in a fraternity.
yeah.
And I'm sure it was nothing like the actual.
And he
Delta
wasn't,
House,
he was
but-
there not too far before this, right? Because
Right.
this takes place in 1962.
Yeah. I mean, he'd have been, well, if I was born in 67, I mean, he'd have been in college probably in 62,
Nice.
right? He was born in 1940.
Oh, okay.
So
So
he'd have
maybe
been-
tail end, yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of going like point by point of every single thing that happens in every single scene, I'm going to do like,
Which we could do
we could,
because every single scene is amazing.
yes. And we could, you know, follow in the bottled and bond tradition, but instead I'm going to just do like a summary and then we'll just
Okay.
talk about each scene.
Yeah.
So our first scene, it's 1962. Two dweebs named Larry Kroger and Kent Dorfman make their way across the Faber College campus, seeking to pledge at a fraternity. After being ridiculed as the wimp and the blimp at Omega House, they make their way to Delta House, where they are greeted in traditional fashion, getting pissed on by a future senator named John Bluto Blutarski, whose nickname was inspired by the Popeye character. Dodging flying glassware, Larry and Kent realize that Delta is where they want to be. And then we see well-known homosexuals Otter and Boone hang out away from the festivities as D-Day arrives in a very subdued fashion. That's how you arrived today, actually. You were wearing the stupid beanie, but then
Yeah.
you drove your motorcycle up my stairs.
Up your stairs.
It's very weird.
Yeah. Smashed right through the door
Yeah.
of your daughter's room.
I didn't realize that Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was a Faber man. I thought that was pretty cool. I definitely want a beer chalice like Bluto's.
Yes.
That was awesome.
By the way, how about the statue of Faber with the school motto carved in it?
Knowledge is good.
Knowledge is good.
It's pretty funny. I'm also going to like highlight like my
Okay.
and you feel free to chime in too, but I'm going to
Yeah.
do like memorable lines from
Okay.
these scenes. So this scene, my favorite line is just when Otter goes around introducing himself and he says, "Eric Stratton, Rush Chairman. Damn glad to meet you."
Oh,
And
a
that's
classic.
Otter's played by Tim Matheson.
Yeah.
Later became the first vice president in the Josiah Bartlett administration. For all you West Wing fans out there.
That was Eric Stratton, fraternity Rush Chairman. He was damn glad to meet you.
Yeah.
So where is this college supposed to be set?
It is supposed to be in Pennsylvania.
Why do Mandy and Babs have like Southern accents?
I don't know.
A wimp and a blimp.
That's true. They are very Southern.
I just thought that was funny.
This scene's great. I mean, we get to see all the main characters. We get to see a very, very young Kevin Bacon pledging at Omega House. And
Yeah, we see them putting all the guys, and this is Jugdish, and putting them all together, and there you are.
all of the, we'll call them undesirables.
Yeah,
But, Larry goes down and has a beer, and it's served by the great,
have
like
a brew. Don't cost nothing.
by the great Karen Allen.
Yeah,
And she's the one that makes
he-
the comment about Otter and Boone being well-known homosexuals.
Yes. Well, I like how he looks up next to the bar, and it's got the fish tanks as the boobs of the mermaid.
Yes.
he immediately thinks to himself, "This is where I want to be."
Yeah. Any other comments on that one? I should say, I'll talk about Boone real quick. That's Peter Riegert. Peter Riegert has done a couple movies that I'm actually a big fan of that are kind
Okay.
of more obscure. There's one called Local Hero that also has Burt Lancaster in it. It came out like 5 years after this movie. Then he does a movie called Crossing Delancey with Amy Irving from Carrey fame. And then he was in a little Jim Carrey movie called The Mask. He was like the main detective
Okay.
trying to solve the mystery of the mask.
Well, one thing that I don't know if I ever saw in this movie, if you can believe it, there are two things I'm not sure that I ever noticed in this movie. One, I don't think I noticed that Bluto was peeing on those guys' feet in front of that house.
Really?
Now, that may be partly because I've seen it on TV 100
yeah.
times more than I've seen it, the real thing.
Maybe they took out the sound effect, if nothing else.
Speaking of which, when Otter and Boone are up in Otter's room discussing girlfriend problems, and they talk about taking things seriously, and Otter goes, "She'll take this seriously," and she pulls out a giant, you know what, and
it's a
puts it on
dildo.
and puts it on the bar. I don't think I ever saw that.
I could see that not being in the TV version of the movie.
But I do love his room in the fraternity house. His room, because it's so fancy and he's got all that stuff in there. You can tell that he is like the ladies' man. He dresses nice. He's very serious about his non-seriousness. And I love his room in the fraternity house.
What's funny is, I actually did a lot of research on this when watching like some of the documentaries and stuff making of, and like the writers are like, these are all archetypes of people that we knew in college.
Right.
We had an Otter, we had a Boone, we had a D-Day, we had a Bluto. So, these are all these kind of characters that, while I'm sure they're, kind of exaggerated in the movie, they're still based on real people that are out there doing this stuff.
And obviously the Larry Kroger character is supposed to be like us, right?
Yes.
That's our perspective of this naive kid who's just a normal kid being dumped into the middle of this craziness. It is funny though.
But Larry Kroger, played by Tom Hulce, who went on to play Amadeus.
Yeah.
And he's also in one of my favorite movies of all time, Stranger Than Fiction.
Oh, I don't remember him being in that, but you know how I am with remembering these things. But
you'll get another chance when we cover it for my birthday.
Apparently, Becky just pointed out, we've seen D-Day in several things.
Oh, Bruce
recently.
McGill. Yeah, that's Bruce McGill. He was in a movie called The Insider. He had a great scene in The Insider. He's like a lawyer going after the big company. He was also in Time Cop with Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's the two I remember him best from. We now go to the next day in Dean Wormer's office. He's talking to Greg Marmalard of the Omega House, and he's discussing who's the worst house on campus. And
they all have their.
He tries to be for whatever reason. He tries to be political about it, and then Wormer's like, "No, it's clearly Delta House."
Every Halloween, the trees are filled with underwear. Every spring, the toilets explode.
Nice. So the dean's pissed at what an embarrassment they are, so he places them on double secret probation.
They're already on probation. Then I'll put them on double secret probation.
My favorite line from this scene: "The time has come for someone to put his foot down, and that foot is me."
Yes.
Just a little brief scene, but introduces us to the dean, and we get a little more of Greg in this scene. So, anything else from that one that you wanted to comment on?
No, I mean I love that scene. I mean, double secret probation has got to be one of the greatest inventions. I mean, the writing is just top notch on this thing, but such ridiculous. And the guy playing Dean Wormer is so good at being serious and pissed off in a comedy. You know what I mean? Right. And so doing something so ridiculous as putting them on double secret probation, he just pulls off perfectly. And it's just so good.
Now, I'd seen him in probably something else, but I mean, I feel like he's always this kind of guy in everything that he's done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So now later we're back at the Delta House. The frat brothers there are reviewing the applicants, and they round up those that they have chosen and initiate them into the frat. It's Bluto's job to give them their names. So
I just have to say, though, the scene with them showing the different kids pictures
And then showing
on the
Dorfman and
slideshow.
Bluto's reaction.
And they all start throwing beers at the screen and
Yeah.
everything. And Otter gets up and tries to defend him. Now let me tell you the story of another kid. And then they just start yelling at him and throwing beers at him.
And then eventually they were like, well, we need the dues, so we'll go
Yeah,
ahead and let him
right.
in. So Larry is dubbed Pinto.
Why Pinto?
Why not?
The
Dorf,
names are good.
Dorfman is given the name Flounder. Then meanwhile, we go to Omega House, where a very normal and definitely not cult-like ceremony is taking place.
Yes. I was in a fraternity, and I can tell you nothing like this definitely ever happened. I never had to say, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?"
I should say Pinto's nickname actually did come from co-writer Chris Miller, who got that nickname at college because of a childhood accident where he spilled hot tar on his penis,
Oh my
leaving a
gosh.
black mark.
Oh my gosh.
Pinto horses have patches of white and black on their
Oh
skin.
my gosh. Wow.
My favorite lines in this scene: I state your name, and then all the pledges.
State your name.
I state your name, and then of course, thank you, sir. May I have another?
And justice and fraternity for all.
The thank you, sir. May I have another is spoken by Kevin Bacon. This was his
Yeah.
first movie role as Chip Diller. It's funny listening to him talk about this. He really, I don't think he hated the experience or anything, but he
Yeah.
was kind of an outsider because John Landis brought all the Delta guys like 4 days before everybody else and had them all bond and everything.
Yeah.
So it kind of created this, antagonism with the Omega guys that translated very well on screen.
Yes. It worked for the film, but it
Yeah.
probably would not have been fun if you were the
Yeah.
bad guys. But
And Mark
then again-
Metcalf, the guy that played Niedermeyer, he kind of embraced it, and he ended up moving to the hotel room above Bruce McGill D-Day's room because that was where all the parties were after shooting and everything. They hoisted a piano up into his room, and they were partying
Oh
all
my
night and
gosh.
everything. And it just pissed him off so much, and he used that to be Niedermeyer. And Niedermeyer, as awful and annoying as he is a great character.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Those guys are so good
Yeah.
as the serious, fraternity
Waspy,
guys
yeah.
and ROTC leader. And
We go to our next scene where apparently, Faber College does have some classes because the next day we
I
are
know,
in
right?
we are in Professor Jennings' class talking about John Milton. He's not really impressed with John Milton, so he kind of blows it
is
off.
this, so they were reading what? Paradise Lost?
I would assume Yes, it was Paradise Lost.
And have you ever read that?
I've tried, but I haven't gotten far. I'm not big on poetry.
Is it okay? So it's a poem.
It's a poem.
But is it what? It must not be 1 or 2 page poem. It must
Oh
be
no,
very,
it's
very
600 pages,
Oh
and
my
it's
gosh.
it's like a battle between heaven and hell or something. I think.
I figured it must be that.
Yeah.
But wow.
So outside of the school, we see
So-
the. Go ahead.
Your assignments are still due. I'm not joking. This is my job.
It's great. Outside, the ROTC is practicing maneuvers while Bluto pretends to be Seymour Butts as he gazes up from under the bleachers.
Nice.
Leading the ROTC is the psycho.
I mean, do you notice John Belushi has almost no dialogue in this movie?
they did that on purpose. Yeah.
He says almost nothing, and yet his face is so expressive.
Yes.
It's kind of amazing.
So leading the ROTC is that psychopath by the name of Niedermeyer.
Why is he riding a horse?
I don't know, but I will say first, he gets eventually knocked from his horse, Trooper, by Otter and Boone golfing. This is Mark Metcalf that played Doug Niedermeyer. He appeared as the father in multiple Twisted Sister videos.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah, but he
Pledge pin on your uniform.
so ridiculous. But they interviewing him, he was talking about how, he was doing the casting interview or whatever, and they were like, "Can you ride a horse?" And he was like, "Sure, I grew up in Montana, And then after he got the job, he's like, calls somebody up, it's like, "Can you teach me how to ride a horse?"
Yeah. Get the job first.
Yeah.
Worry about it later.
We then shift to Pinto, Boone, and Katie talking after class about setting up Pinto with a date. To get laid, of course. They eventually make their way to Professor Jennings.
We're willing. Do you have a friend? We're willing to trade looks for a certain morally casual attitude.
They do eventually make their way to Jennings's house, the professor, where they proceed to get high. I cannot believe there were drugs on a college campus in the 60s. That's appalling to me.
And the professor is providing them.
My favorite line in this, Pinto, I won't go schizo, will I? And then Jennings responds, it is a distinct possibility.
Yes.
Any more comments on that scene?
I don't think I'd ever noticed that they're in a bathtub when they're smoking. But like they definitely are worried about getting caught. He puts all the blinds down, and then they're in the bathroom, and Katie and Boone are in the bathtub. I just thought that was funny.
Singing, what is it, Please Paula or something like that?
Yeah, something.
Old song.
I think that's
I'll
right.
put it, it'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, that was funny though. So you're saying that our whole solar system, galaxy, could just be one atom in the fingernail of someone.
And then he's like, and your fingernail could
He's
contain
like,
an entire...
So then my fingernail, could I buy some pot from you?
Then we go to our next scene. After his terrible performance at the ROTC, Flounder is punished by mucking the stables while a very agitated trooper prances around. Psycho Niedermeyer feeds the horse a carrot from his mouth and then leaves.
I said he does the Lady and the Tramp with the horse.
We do see Bluto and D-Day arrive for some shenanigans. They're going to take Trooper to Dean Warmer's office.
Yes.
They convince Flounder he needs to shoot and kill the horse inside the dean's office.
Well, as they're taking the horse over there, Flounder gives the line that he gives several times that's so good. Oh boy, this is great.
Flounder, perfect casting.
Yes.
He does a perfect job in that role.
He's outstanding.
Flounder is in the room with the horse, and outside D-Day and Bluto are like, you had the gun's filled with blanks, right?
Yeah.
So Flounder ends up still shooting the gun in the air anyway, scares the horse, who then dies of a heart attack.
Yes.
And then the next day, the dean is talking.
But I mean, the guy's running away. Oh!
Yes.
Just like running away, screaming out of there.
Next day, the dean is talking to the mayor in his office, who's very threatening to him, by the way. While a man
Carmine, I forget. But the mayor acts like he's like a mobster or something, right? Like he threatens him.
It's pretty funny.
Into paying. He acts just like a mobster, and he basically makes him pay to have the parade like it's protection money. Right. It's pretty funny.
And while this is going on, there's a man in the background measuring the horse.
Just
and
nonchalantly.
Eventually coming back with a chainsaw.
Well, he measures the horse, then he measures the doorway. Yeah. And he measures horse all these different ways. And yes, he comes back with a chainsaw. Can you imagine how messy a chainsaw would be for cutting a horse apart?
Funny little piece of trivia. So this was filmed at the University of Oregon.
Yeah. And
the president of the University of Oregon, upon retirement, they gave him a fake upside down horse that he put in his office.
Well, I got the impression from something I read that they had maybe passed up some other movie in the past or something. And when he got this movie, he didn't really read the script that carefully when he approved it. And then, of course, they were like worried because of the content of the movie. And of course, then it turns out that the movie's a fantastic success, and they're probably thrilled that it was filmed there.
Well, I had some trivia about that. I'll go ahead and give it to you now. Yeah, the president of Oregon had previously worked as an administrator in some university in California. And a movie approached and said, "Can we film here?" And they turned it down. That movie was The Graduate.
Oh, yeah. He's like, I'm not making that mistake
that's
twice.
Exactly what he did.
Then he signs this one. Then he probably reads the script or sees what they're doing, and it's like, oh my gosh, what have I done?
Or he just goes and sees the movie and
what have I done?
What have I done?
I know, but then, of course, it turns out to be quite a success.
My favorite moment in this scene was just Bluto outside acting like he was watching for a tail. He's just like jumping all around, looking back and everything.
It's so good. When he's sneaking up to the building, supposedly, and he rolls on the ground. And Oh,
Serpentine.
yeah, he can do so much without saying anything.
Yeah,
It was just
he's so
amazing.
good. The freeze frame of the horse is also pretty priceless.
Yeah.
Where he shoots the gun.
Act like the horse died.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now we go to the next day in the cafeteria. Bluto is having a light snack while Otter chats with Mandy Pepperidge, who is disgusted by slovenly Bluto.
And the song adds so much to his trip through the lunch line.
What was the song?
Don't know much about
Oh, that's
history.
right. That's also, I have that on the
I mean,
notes. Yeah, that's
just
a great
as
one.
he goes through that line, and clearly he's ad-libbing all that stuff going through
Yeah.
the line, all that goofy stuff. But again, the amount he can do without saying anything as he's
Yes.
eating things and piling things on his tray
amazing.
is just amazing.
And this had been after Saturday Night Live started. So
Yeah.
he was definitely probably the most well-known person on here at this
I'm
current
sure
time.
he was.
But Mandy Pepperidge says something like he's a PIG pig,
That
Which
boy
that was-
is a PIG pig.
which she ad-libbed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she did.
Well, that's a great
Yeah.
line. And she delivers it so
Yeah.
perfectly.
And she did a movie later where she was playing like the older head of a sorority chapter house or something, and she said the same line. Sick of being harassed, Bluto eventually stuffs his mouth full of mashed potatoes and then pops his cheeks, where he says, "I'm a zit. Get it?"
See if you can guess what I am now.
Yeah.
And he picks those potatoes up with his hand. It's like a scoop of potatoes and puts it in his mouth.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing we learn here is when Otter sits down, like he's obviously had
Doing something with Mandy
an
Pepperidge.
experience
Yeah.
with Mandy and she goes, "It wasn't that great."
And then he's like, "Not that great."
Yes.
Dodging the pissed off Omega House frat boys, Bluto eventually gets a food fight started and runs away.
Yeah.
Food fight classic. Later that night on Lookout Mountain, Mandy is not doing a very good job for Greg with those gloves she's wearing.
Is anything happening? My arm's kind of tired. I think it's his
It is
problem
definitely his
because he
problem.
can't concentrate because he's thinking of the deltas.
Yeah. Greg eventually drops Mandy off back at her fraternity. Bluto, with his ladder, plays Peeping Tom as the sorority sisters do exactly what I assume co-eds always do at night, which
Oh,
is
for
have
sure.
topless pillow fights. Of course.
Can you imagine? I will say this. My wife laughed a lot during this movie and loved it. And
Good.
honestly, I was just like, is this going to still be as good as I remember it?
Yeah.
And it was. But it got to this scene, and Becky's like, that does not happen in college. She thought that part was ridiculous. But of course, men wrote this movie.
Of course.
So they're like, we can write this scene, and they have to do it.
Yeah.
It is pretty hilarious.
Bluto then shifts his ladder to Mandy's room.
Yes.
So Mandy, alone in her room.
Because we all know if you're at the top of a ladder and you just jump,
Yeah,
you can
it'll move over.
move the ladder sideways.
Yeah. So we see Mandy alone in her room, and it looks like she's about to double click the mouse, even though I don't think computers were a thing yet.
Uh-huh.
But my favorite moment in this, Bluto breaking the fourth wall to look back at the camera
when he
as
looks
Mandy
back.
undresses.
Yes.
Priceless.
Pretty good. And then the ladder just falls over. I mean, as kids, we just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, as
Even,
she's-
even when we watched on TV and they cut most of it, you
Yeah.
knew what was happening more or less.
As she's about to go to town, he just loses it and
Yeah.
falls.
Yes.
Back in school the next day, Bluto and D-Day find the test key that Chip Diller planted in the trash.
Okay, well, hang on.
Yes.
First, you see an old lady using what, Mike?
I don't remember.
A mimeograph machine.
Okay.
Do you know what a mimeograph
don't.
machine is?
Like the first copier?
Yes, except it wasn't exactly like a copier. You couldn't just take anything and put it through there. You could type stuff onto this thing that was kind of like
Almost like a printing
carbon.
press, maybe?
Do you know what carbon paper is?
Yes.
Okay.
Like checkbooks.
Kind of like that. And you put it on that paper. And did you notice when they're holding it by the edges because it's kind of like it would be inky
Yes.
and messy. And so it's like the negative of what
Yeah.
they're about to make the copies of.
Yeah.
And they spin it. There was a handle. and you spun the handle and it would feed a sheet of paper in, and as the drum spun it would take one sheet in and make that on there, and it had like this purplish ink. I mean, I remember what those pages smelled like when they came out of the mimeograph machine. They were slightly wet, even a little bit, because of like the process that it used or whatever, if fresh ones came in the classroom or whatever. So what they had and what they put the fake one out there of was basically that negative that you put on that mimeograph machine to make all those copies. Oh, this has been an episode of Charlie is Older Than Mike.
Very much so.
It's
I
amazing
understood
in
the
those,
concept.
Yeah,
I
it's
knew
amazing
what was
in
going
those
on.
intervening 15 years, right? That they went from those mimeographs, which would have been amazing at the time, to actually Xerox
Like
being
Xerox.
affordable enough that schools could have it, because I'm sure before that it wouldn't have been affordable. There were the better machines, you didn't have to hand crank them. They had an actual motor that would spin the drum to do them. But that technology was all through my grade school.
Nice.
We had those.
So Deltas are all excited because they have this test, so they're all going to ace it.
But of course, it's the fake test.
It's a fake test. They all fail it. So the
What class are they all taking, do you
I think it was psychology, if I remember correctly.
By the way, I will tell you this about fraternity life. So we had what were called test files, which were previous tests that people had taken.
Yeah.
Now, in theory, this could be helpful because you could look at tests that this same professor gave a year ago, and it might help you study.
Yeah.
In the case of Eunice Wilcox, who was exactly as old as her name sounds, who taught music appreciation, it was almost always the exact same test she gave every year.
Yeah.
Except she must have gotten word of it. And my year, for the first time in decades, probably, she made new tests.
Wow.
And it was a struggle because I'm going to tell you, Mike, music appreciation is actually kind of a hard class.
So this wasn't like, oh, the Rolling Stones had this hit song. What kind of stuff was it?
No, like Baroque
Oh,
music
man.
and Romantic period and the Classic period. And you had to like identify. I mean, to do your homework, it was like, I don't know if you've ever seen, you had to go in the library and check out the records, and they had record players with headphones, and you'd listen to the songs that were in your assignment, and you'd try and pick out like what types of instruments were in there to identify like what period it's from or all these things. It was not an easy class. So it was a big difference between having the test and not having the test.
My music appreciation class in college was called the History of Rock and Roll.
Oh my
and it
gosh.
basically started in the mid 60s. So all I had to listen to was Beatles, Stones, Jimi Hendrix.
No, ours was like Bach and Mozart.
I never had to do that stuff.
And Debussy or however the heck you say his name. And I will say this. I actually did get some songs out of that class that I actually liked.
Nice.
I sort of did, like La Mer by Debussy, I really like. And
I'm a big
there's
fan of
some other
Schubert
ones.
as far as classical goes.
Yeah.
I really like Schubert. So these guys take this test, and obviously they all fail it. So the dean visits Delta House to tell them they all failed the test. And we get a little line here from Dean Warmer. Put a sock in it, boy, because Otter's trying to, be Otter and talk his way out of this, because they're all drinking and stuff, and Otter's like, I hope the whole thing isn't ruined by a couple bad apples. And Dean Warmer says, put a sock in it, boy, or else you'll be out of here like shit through a goose. I love that line. Lamenting their poor decision-making, the Delta boys decide to hunker down and study to improve their grades. Just kidding. They decide to have a toga party. Later, we have Katie and Boone at some place where apparently you have to go to do laundry. Maybe that's called a laundromat.
Yes.
Discussing the toga party that Katie does not want Boone to go to. I love her line here. When she says, tells Boone not to go, she's like, I'll write you a note. I'll say you're too well to attend. That's a great line.
Really good.
Meanwhile, the Delta boys head to the Food King to stock up on refreshments for the toga party. Otter flirts with an older woman who turns out to be Dean Warmer's wife.
Okay. I also loved the part where they throw all the food at Flounder.
I was getting ready to say that because that was John Landis saying, "Okay, we're gonna do this right now," and he just keeps chucking stuff at
And
him.
he caught a lot of
almost
that
all of
food.
it. Yes,
It was that scene. That scene was very funny.
and it was one take. They did that. That was the first take of that. I think he started dropping them after like the 9th or 10th one. It was pretty impressive.
But yes, Otter meets Marion Wormer.
Yeah,
Mine's bigger than that.
my cucumber.
Don't you think cucumbers can be
Sensuous. Sensual.
sensual?
People can be sensuous.
I don't. That could even be opposite. I don't even.
Yeah.
I never remember which one it is, but it's
No,
pretty
we're
funny.
right. That's it.
Okay.
We now go to the toga party that Delta is throwing. First memorable moment here. We get Bluto walking down the stairs while this dork is playing a guitar, strumming for the women.
Love a cherry that had no stone.
Bluto takes the guitar and smashes it against the wall. Did you be honest? You wept when that happened, right?
Yes, because that actually is probably some like wonderful vintage guitar or
Probably.
something, you know. But
That guy though, that's the guy that sings the Animal House song.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this part of the movie is better than the Animal House song.
Yes.
But I love how he just goes, "Sorry,"
Sorry.
which apparently was like his real reaction after doing it.
Yeah. Another
That is
memorable
so
moment was just party going full throttle as the band Otis Day and the Knights are performing Shout. I mean, it's just
I like
awesome.
how Flounder's girlfriend shows up.
Yeah.
And she looks like a proper girl of the time,
Yeah.
right? She's got gloves on and she's got the little dress. But then she actually looks like she's kind of excited to be
Yeah.
there. I assume she's still a high school student.
Well, let's
probably,
talk
right?
about that too, because I forgot to mention this.
Yeah.
So when they walk in,
Mhm.
something goes flying by right and smashes against
Smashes-
the door.
Yes.
That was all improvised. So
Wow.
her reaction is genuine in that because she kind of like
She's taken
she
aback
ducks
and then she kind of
smiles a little
smiles.
bit. Yeah.
Yes.
Like John Landis was just like, let's just chuck stuff at the walls throughout the whole scene.
Wow. Yeah, her reaction is great.
Yeah.
I mean, and she walks through that house and gets introduced people.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Otter looks like he's about to take advantage of her.
That was all cut. He did.
Oh,
in
really?
the original script, he actually slept with Flounder's girlfriend. But
I'm
they
glad
took
they
it all
cut
out.
that,
Yeah,
actually.
I am too.
I think, actually...
Because
that-
ultimately, you want to like Otter.
Yes.
And if he did something like that, you definitely would not think nearly as much of him.
Yeah.
So then we have Pinto and Otter each taking similarly aged women to private rooms. Just kidding. One of them's 40 and the other one is much, much younger than that.
Well, by the way, though, we kind of glossed over the Otis Day and the Nights.
Okay.
But that scene
It's very cool.
is amazing.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It is one of the... And, I mean, it's just them playing the song
Mm-hmm.
in the basement of that fraternity house. And
Did you ever have a band come and play in your frat house?
We had guys in our house who were in a band
Oh, okay.
called Push Down and Turn,
Okay.
which actually had a little bit of like local
Yeah.
notoriety playing in Broad Ripple and stuff like that after college. But usually it was just, music on a stereo
Oh, okay.
in a basement, much like that room, in a very old house. But that scene is fantastic.
It is very cool. And then when all the guys
so
drop to the
good.
ground, what do
Yes.
they call that? The gator, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole get a little bit softer now, get a
Mhm.
little bit louder now. I mean, and the band does a great job.
Yes.
That is just a great scene
It's very cool. Very
of
good.
actual people having fun. And I don't think I have to tell you that song became an extremely popular party song after.
Oh,
that
I'm
movie.
sure. Yeah. So
I
did
mean-
toga parties.
Yes, so did toga parties.
We do have a memorable moment here that really hasn't aged well. So Pinto is making out with the girl he brought, who he had met at the Food King. She was the cashier at the Food King.
Yeah, she's a cute girl.
And she passes out.
Yeah.
And Pinto has a decision to make. So he gets visited by his angel and his devil when deciding whether he wants to take advantage of the passed out girl.
You may not be surprised to know this was cut from the TV version.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
However, the one thing that they did leave in which I just think is hilarious, is when she's standing up. I love he's trying to take her bra off and he's
Yeah.
clearly never done it. I think it's locked
I
or
think it's
something.
like-
And then she takes it off and she passes out and he's left with hands full of tissue
tissues.
paper
Yes.
from inside the bra.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so good.
Yeah.
But
so
yes, they cut the angel and devil part surprisingly.
the
for
devil
TV.
tells him to do some very inappropriate things, and then the angel comes along, and he sides with the angel, fortunately.
Yeah, but so it aged okay in the sense that he
made the
do
right
anything.
decision.
He
Yes.
makes the right choice. She
Well,
passes out.
It didn't age quite so well when a little
Well,
bit later when we
yes,
learned
I
something,
know.
but we'll get to that. The
Although we
actress-
never really see what happens.
Yeah, the actress in this, her character name is Clarette. This is Sarah Holcomb, who also had a feature role in Caddyshack.
I know.
Yeah.
I
She-
mean, two amazing movies, and
Yeah.
then she basically never did anything
Yeah.
else.
Well, I had read she had some like substance abuse issues, and that's kind of, and she stepped away, and I think she's okay now. I don't know that she's just completely gone from celebrity,
Okay.
but she was 19 at the time of filming this movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
She wasn't actually
Yes.
13.
So back in school, Delta is now going on trial at the student court. Otter, fed up with the injustice, gives an impassioned speech that results in all of Delta House walking out of the proceedings. Now, Charlie,
I
what
will not stand here and listen to you badmouth the United States of America. Gentlemen.
Now, if you haven't done this already, the next time you're in a big company meeting and somebody walks up to the stage, I expect you to cough, blowjob, 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 over and
Oh
over
my
and over.
gosh. That is very funny.
And then I think it was Hoover. He tells like Boone, he's like, "Will you tell those assholes to shut up?" And he gets up, "Shut up, you assholes!"
Yes. Be careful. I think they're serious this time. It's all right. I'm pre-law. I thought
So
you
you
were
were pre-med.
pre-med. What's the difference?
What's the difference? I like that scene. There's not much else I had to say about that one.
No,
Warmer just continuing to tell Hoover to shut up and wait his turn, and then he hardly gets to say anything.
Yes.
So Delta House gets shut down. With them being shut down, Bluto's out there crying. Then he loses it when the large box of booze is dropped, spilling everywhere.
Yeah.
His face when that happens is amazing.
Yes, it is.
Somebody tosses him a bottle of Jack Daniels, to which he immediately drinks the entire bottle, which is more Jack Daniels than I think I've had in my entire life. I don't
Yeah,
think I've had a
I
full
supposedly it was iced tea.
bottle. Yeah, I
did
figured it
read
was.
that.
Even though,
Yeah.
even though John Belushi had his,
Well, apparently they
history.
kept him away a little bit from the people who were partying because they knew he had
Yeah.
issues. John Landis
Yeah.
did, and he kept him kind of on its own to keep
Right.
him as sober as possible during the filming.
And I should say, too, about John Belushi, everybody was like, he was the nicest person.
Yeah,
He just had his demons and
Yeah.
his addictions that he just could not overcome. But after he drinks that whole Jack Daniels, he has the great line, "Thanks, I needed that."
yes,
To distract from their troubles, Boone, Otter, Flounder, and Pinto decide to take a road trip. They stop first at Emily Dickinson College along the way.
you know
So-
what we need to do? Road trip.
And they're taking Flounder's brother's car.
Which, by the way, is a beautiful 1964 Lincoln Continental.
Nice. I forgot to look that car up.
Oh my gosh, that is a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. And did you notice that Otter drives that beautiful, like,
Oh, we'll get to that.
59
Yes.
Corvette?
I noted that one because that one
That
was
is
amazing.
a great car.
So they stop at Emily Dickens College along the way, and they go into Emily Dickinson house at Emily Dickinson College. I thought that was kind of weird, but
Yeah.
Otter goes in so he can fabricate a story about a recently deceased student named Fawn Leibowitz from the great city of Fort Wayne, Indiana. He says that she was his fiance, and he convinces a sympathetic co-ed, her roommate, to tag along with him to, grieve and whatever.
Kiln explosion. She was
She
going to
was
make a
making me a
pot
pot.
for me.
Priceless.
And do you have 3 dates for my friends?
Yes. I like that one of them was called Brunella. That's a name that's probably due to come back.
Yeah, I think so.
They arrive at a place called Dexter's, which is
So hit it as the car smashes into the other car and the trash
the car
cans.
running into all the cars.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. But They arrive at Dexter's, which is a very hip-looking joint that maybe they don't belong in.
Oh, to stay in the night. He loves us.
And that's where we're going to take our break to have our
right.
drink. We are back with our rock and rye, which
We are gonna die.
we are gonna die. This has straight rye whiskey. We are using a Wild Turkey Private Reserve version,
Ooh.
so it's a fancy rye whiskey.
I have a feeling you could have used any rye whiskey and it would make no difference in
Because
this
it's gonna
drink.
be
just
so
based on the
freaking
look of it
sweet.
and how many things I saw you put in it
Yeah,
as you were making it. I'm guessing you could use the cheapest rye possible.
it's very pinkish red.
Yeah, it is.
Cheers.
Cheers. It's tasty.
It's very good.
I like it.
You still get the rye bite.
And it isn't overpoweringly sweet, amazingly.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't just punch you in the face with sweetness like your
Right.
teeth hurt. Actually, it's pretty good.
Not bad. The Countess Tracy's on injured reserve right now, so she was not able to prepare this
You
drink for us,
definitely
so
get
I
the
did it.
fruitiness of it.
You do. Yeah, because it's got some freshly squeezed lemons, some freshly squeezed orange, some maraschino cherry syrup that I made myself a couple days ago.
She did have to make the orange peel twist.
She had to do the
for us.
orange, yeah, because I'm not that good. But yeah, good stuff. I like it.
She's a pro. You're an amateur, but still, you did a good job making it. It's
Thank you.
delicious.
After some patrons ask to dance with their dates, the Delta Boys decide
Do you
to...
mind if we dance with your dates?
I
Did you
just-
notice then the guy just like tears the table off the floor?
Yes,
And
picks
picks
it
it
up and
up?
moves it. Yeah.
You know, if I was you boys, I'd be leaving. What a
Leaving.
good idea. And they just leave
They
the
leave 'em.
girls there and run out of there.
Yep. They decide to hightail it out of there, smashing into every parked car they possibly can.
Well, and Otter was in the back seat with Von Leibowitz's roommate,
Mm-hmm.
and he was making progress back there, and she had no shirt on
She may have been topless.
when they kicked her out of the car.
Couple things about this. First off, obviously, they show the girls later walking back to school. One of them talks about how they liked Otter and thought he was cute and stuff like that. But I think they made a point to say nothing bad happened to the girls. So that's why they had that little scene of them walking back.
Yeah.
But the other thing I read was the scene was going to be longer. And they were going to have the scene of the guys in the club with the girls and not the Delta guys, but after they left, and that they were all awkward and didn't know what to say to the girls, and it was just nobody knew how to act next with it
Oh,
after
that's
that.
funny.
So that was pretty funny. We're now back on campus. Flounder is distraught that his brother's car is so wrecked, to which Bluto gives the memorable line, "My advice to you is to start drinking heavily."
Yes.
Maybe my favorite line. In this movie.
The scene of Bluto trying to cheer up Flounder
Yes.
and doing all the faces and everything for him
Yeah.
is so funny. And apparently in real life they had to film it so many times
Oh, really?
because Flounder just started cracking up
I could see
so
that.
many times, which I can see because obviously John Belushi was just doing crazy stuff
Yeah.
and improvising, but it was like really making him laugh. But yes, then they decide to
Otter, ever helpful, says they'll just report the car as stolen and collect the insurance money.
Yes.
At this point, we see Boone going to find Katie, but catches her with Jennings and walks out. Both of them not wearing any underwear.
Well, yeah. So do you have any trivia about this? Because
I do. Karen Allen said that she was very uncomfortable doing this. without-
showing her bottom.
Showing her bottom. And Donald Sutherland's like, well, I'll just take my pants off and underwear off too, and I'll do the same thing. So the reason you get to see him bare-assed in this, going to get something out of the cabinet, is to make her more comfortable. And she
I
appreciated
mean, that's
that.
a good move,
It is,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, he's a pro, right? And so what I read was
Yeah.
she's like, well, if he's willing to do it,
Right.
like I
Yeah.
can do it. It was pretty funny, though, when he reaches up to the top of the cabinet and his sweater pulls up and you see his butt.
I mean, he was pretty popular at this point, Donald Sutherland. He had done quite a few popular movies.
I think so. Yes.
We then go to Lookout Mountain again, or I'm sorry, no, this is not Lookout Mountain. But Babs is talking to Greg telling Greg that Mandy is cheating on him with Otter. So Babs then calls Otter.
So he punches out her teddy bear.
Yes. Babs then calls Otter, asks him to meet Mandy at a motel. But this is ultimately a trap, and Otter is beat up by the Omegas. This is where I was going to point out Otter's car of the 1959 Corvette. Beautiful car.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
He walks in with
And it's in red, which
Yeah.
a 59 Corvette should be.
Yes.
Oh man, that's a great car.
But he walks in with roses and counts them and counts the guys in the room and says, something like, I don't have quite enough. And then he just gets punched and then he gets the crap beat out of him.
Yeah.
We then go to Dean Wormer giving Delta their grades, saying, I think the highest GPA was 1.6 by Hoover
Yes.
and kicks them all out of school.
0.0.
And D-Day didn't even have a GPA. He's never been to class.
Yes. I have no record that you're even enrolled here.
Flounder is, at this point, very sick and blows chunks on Wormer. They made it a point. They didn't want the gross out stuff.
Yeah.
So they made it a point to not actually show him throwing up on Wormer. Instead, you hear it from the other room, which is
I
a good
can't
choice.
believe I threw up in front of Dean Wormer. Face it, you threw up on Dean Wormer.
But during this also, we get a very memorable line where Wormer says to Flounder, "Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son."
That's
love
a
that.
great one.
That was the name of the book I read too, which we'll get to a little
I'm
later.
sure.
We're back on Lookout Mountain. Greg relishes the defeat of the Deltas while Babs does a bad job. It took me a couple times to realize that in the first scene it was Mandy, in the second scene it was Babs. It was two different,
You almost can't tell them apart,
Right.
unless you see them together.
but then she gives a great line. Greg, is it supposed to be this soft?
Yes.
Love it. So we're back at Delta House. Bluto.
One of my favorites. I don't know if we can say it on this show.
We can. This one's going to get the explicit line.
How's it feel to be an independent, Schoenstein? How's it feel to be an asshole, Niedermeyer?
Niedermeyer. Bluto laments 7 years of college down the drain
7 years of college down the drain.
as a beat-up Otter walks in. The Deltas...
I mean, that may be the best line in any movie
7
ever
years of college down the drain.
of all time. It was my dad's favorite movie, and I will tell you, here's why he found it so good. Because one of his fraternity brothers was my uncle,
Yeah.
and that's how he met my mother.
Okay.
Okay. But my uncle had to find several majors to attempt while in college and graduated 7 years into college.
Nice. That's hilarious.
And so that line in our family had an extra meaning and was just hilarious.
Yeah.
7 years of college down the drain. I mean, that line just punches you in the face because,
It's
of course,
great.
we all know
It's so
college
good.
is supposed to be 4 years.
The Deltas finally give up, but Bluto's just fed up with these quitters, so he gives an inspiring speech where he just rambles on. He eventually says a very memorable line.
Oh.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no.
Germans,
And then boom.
he's on a roll.
Forget it, he's rolling. Bluto, disgusted with the lack of spirit, yells at the Deltas more. They finally decide to go all out with a futile and stupid gesture.
We could fight them with conventional weapons, but that could take years, cost millions of lives.
Yeah. We do get a little scene here with Pinto sitting, I think they're on the football field. He's laying there with Clarette. They've just done the deed. And
Well, you assume they have.
you assume
I'm not even positive. Because they're actually taking their clothes off. I think it's before.
Yeah.
Because he goes, I've never done this before.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah, so we don't know that anything
Yeah.
truly happened. I have something to confess too. I'm only 13. So you don't know. Oh, I guess you do know later because when they're introduced
Yes.
to the
Because it turns out
Carmine.
Clarette is the mayor's daughter.
Yes.
Because earlier in the movie, Pinto actually wheelbarrowed her back to the
he
mayor's...
delivered her in a shopping
Oh, a shopping cart. You're right. Yeah.
I
sorry.
mean, that's a great scene.
Yeah.
Hi, Daddy.
Oh, Clarette.
But the 13 part probably kind of hits home.
Yes. So the futile gesture they decide on is to sabotage the homecoming
And we're
parade.
just the guys to do
Yep.
it.
So we now go to the homecoming parade in town. All is well as the Deltas make their way through the crowd, setting up their final prank. Memorable moment here
Yeah.
when they're all checking their watches to ensure they're in sync, and then Bluto checks his and it's broken, and it's like
it's totally
like
some weird
6
time.
hours off.
I know. You know, the line that's probably throwaway that I might laugh the hardest at is when Flounder walks in to the store and he goes, "I'd like 10,000 marbles, please." Apparently, that's his actual wife who's
Oh,
at
really?
the counter. Yes. But
Yeah, there was like 3 guys that were already married
yeah.
because it was like Flounder. John Belushi was married at this time. And I
I'd
think
like
one of
10,000 marbles, please.
Yeah. Eventually, we see this rogue float with the words "Eat me" on the side, making its way through the parade. One of the Deltas then leads the marching band into an alley. Hoover
That scene is so
So
ridiculous that it's funny.
Yeah. Hoover hooks a chain to one of the floats. D-Day starts ramming other floats. The ROTC tries
Ramming speed.
the ROTC tries to pursue them, but Flounder throws marbles into the street as the parade descends into total chaos. The Eat Me float becomes the Deathmobile. Dread Pirate Bluto fights the Omegas. Otter, Boone, and D-Day take out the VIP bleachers, and the Deltas get one last laugh. And before we go to the epilogue, because this is the end of the movie.
You can
This
take
float-
your thumb out of my ass anytime you want, Carmine.
Nice, Mrs. Warmer.
Yes.
We'll do the epilogues in a second, but I figured you might have some other comments about this part. I will start. Let me start with this. The guy leading the marching band, when he takes over, grabs the baton and takes them
Yeah.
down the alley so they're all running
Stork.
into the wall. That is Doug Kinney. That's one of the writers
Yeah.
of the movie.
He's the one who says, "What the hell are we supposed to do, you moron?"
With some southern accent
like
again.
that.
Yeah. He, but yeah, so when you were in marching band, would you just follow orders blindly?
Oh
like
yeah,
that?
if the drum major turns down a corner, down a alley, you just go.
Then they show a scene later where they're just all still running
and
into
the
wall.
trombones, of course, are in front and just smash up against the brick wall
Yeah.
as Stork goes up.
So
I mean,
funny.
and they film it from above. It is just very ridiculously funny what they do to that parade.
Any other comments about the parade? Any
Well,
moments?
how about when the kid is up in his room and he's reading like a
Playboy.
Playboy and the girl gets vaulted in there and he
Yes.
goes, "Thank you, God."
I have a trivia for that later.
Oh,
We'll get
okay.
to that in a minute.
But I mean, there's so many good parts
Yeah.
when Hoover yells at the kid for sitting on the mailbox. That's government property, and then he gets up there and sits on it himself.
And then the dad is like, "Excuse me, can you guys move so my son can see?" No. Mandy. Mandy loses all of her clothes, so she's just in her underwear.
Yes,
running
hiding
around.
behind the car.
Yep. And Babs then Bluto takes Babs and throws her in his car, and then they drive
And
off.
they drive away in a Buick Electra 225
Nice.
convertible.
Nice.
Now, here's another.
Charlie is old fact.
Well, yes, but also my grandfather drove Buick Electras. My grandfather always drove Buicks, and he had a red Buick Electra that I just loved.
Nice.
Now, the Buick Electra eventually had a trim level called the Electra Park Avenue,
Okay.
which then just became the whole Electra went away, and then the car was just
The Park Avenue.
the Park Avenue.
Okay. I think we had a Park Avenue once. It was a used one. But when I
Yeah,
was a kid-
eventually, like they brought that back.
Yeah.
And they had the Park Avenue, and it had the rear wheels where it had like the cover on them, so you only saw like half the wheel. And
Yeah.
then they made the wagon kind
Nice.
of out of the Park Avenue. I think Tracy had one of those, right? She had a
No,
Buick
she had a Buick Roadmaster.
Roadmaster, but that's what they made the Roadmaster out of.
Oh,
was
okay.
like the Park Avenue
Nice.
frame.
So let's do the epilogues for most of the main characters. We'll go in order. Robert Hoover eventually became a public defender in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yes.
Larry Kroger became editor of National Lampoon magazine. That was pretty
That's
funny.
great.
Gregory Marmalard eventually was a Nixon White House aide raped in prison, 1974.
Yes.
Eric Stratton, Otter, gynecologist, Beverly Hills, California. Of course. Doug Niedermeyer, killed in Vietnam by his own troops. Kent Dorfman, sensitivity trainer, Encounter Groups of Cleveland, Inc. Daniel Simpson Day, whereabouts unknown.
Yes, of course.
Boone and Katie, married 1964, divorced 1969. Barbara Sue Jansen, tour guide, Universal Studios, Hollywood.
That was good.
And then we get Senator and Mrs. John Blutarsky, Washington, D.C.
Yes. I love when they drive away in that Buick and his arm is around her. And they're just, he's got that pirate outfit on with the sword at the one point.
It's a great ending.
Mrs. John Blutarsky.
The ending's awesome.
Those epilogue things, that was genius.
Yeah.
Right? It's a perfect way to end that movie with what they end up doing, and it's so funny.
Yeah.
And Kevin Bacon being flattened by the people.
Yes.
Remain calm. All is well.
Got quite a few trivialities in this one because I dug deep on this research. The first story. So this all kind of came out of National Lampoon magazine. Did you ever read that?
No.
I never did. No. I never saw it.
I mean,
it's way. I'm way after that time. Yeah. But the first story was written by Doug Kenny, Stork, and Harold Ramis, and it was called Laser.
Both of them are no longer with us, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Laser Orgy Girls, and it was about Charles Manson in high school.
Oh my gosh.
Executives rejected the idea of a movie in high school, so Chris Miller was brought in later to write with Ramis and Kenny, and a new script was written inspired by stories from their college experiences.
I mean, it worked.
This might be my favorite piece of trivia. Bob Clark was approached to direct this movie, which came out 5 years before his holiday classic, A Christmas Story. He felt the story was too rowdy, so he declined. Yes, the guy who would 3 years later direct the movie Porky's declined this one because it was too rowdy.
That's hilarious. You know what, though? It worked out the way it was supposed to, and man...
I don't think you get Porky's without Animal House.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff you might not get without Animal House.
Yeah.
I mean, but the funny thing about it is, it's so well done.
Yeah.
The acting is actually, and the timing is actually top notch.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
I mean, that's the thing about it.
A few days before shooting, many of the Delta cast members, and Karen Allen as well, visited an Omega-like house, and they ended up getting the crap beat out of them before escaping.
Oh, really?
Like there were a bunch of Omega-type jock guys that just did not like them, and they were like hitting on their women. I think Tim Matheson was actually shockingly hitting on one of the girls at the house. So here's a bit of sad trivia. Co-writer Doug Kenny, who played Stork, the Delta that led the marching band in the parade scene, he died in 1980 at the age of 33 after falling off of a cliff in Hawaii. They didn't believe it was a suicide.
Wow.
We'll never know. They don't think that he killed himself. He had a bunch of notes in his hotel room about projects and stuff, but there was a later article from the National Lampoon that said he was looking for a place to jump when the cliff gave out under him.
Oh, wow.
Of course. National Lampoon making a joke about it.
Nice.
Here's another cool one. Donald Sutherland was offered $20,000 plus points, but just wanted the money. So they gave him $35,000 and no points. Had he taken the original offer, it would have made him at least $6 million.
Yeah. I mean, I can see him. He was kind of a serious actor thinking, like, I'm just doing this for fun. This movie is ridiculous and nobody's ever going to watch it.
Right. Peter Riegert, Boone, was dating Bette Midler at the time of filming.
Oh, wow.
And she was like on set and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wild. I wonder how old she was.
Funny thing is, she's a little older, but not much.
Yeah. The funny thing is with people like that, you sort of can't imagine them being like in their 20s.
Yeah.
And they probably were, and they were, you know, somehow you don't imagine Bette Midler being in her 20s.
I know.
I don't know if she was Bette Midler at that time.
She was known at that time.
Was she?
I don't know what she had done, but she was known. I think she may have it was maybe right around the time of The Rose.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Wow.
I already talked about the president at Oregon because of the Graduate movie. That's why they ended up filming in Oregon. There was a scene cut from the script that had Delta's in Flounder's brother's car, picking up some guy with a guitar that went by the name Robert Zimmerman.
Nice.
They ask him to play a song, and after a few bars, they screech the car to a halt and throw him out. Producer Maddie Simmons wanted Christopher Guest to play the role of Bob Dylan in that scene.
That would,
because he was also in the Lampoon and stuff.
Oh, okay.
The Delta House TV show lasted 13 episodes. It was like late 70s. It was like right a year after this movie. And
I mean, you had to do something to take advantage of this, but nobody ever did.
And it included Bruce McGill, D-Day, Stephen Furst, Flounder, John Vernon, Dean Wormer, and James Widows, Hoover. They all reprised their roles on the TV show. The show didn't translate because the TV...
You can't do the stuff in this movie on TV.
Yeah, it didn't translate well to TV given censorship restrictions, and they also kept bouncing its time slot. So it started at like 8 p.m., which is like family time back then, and then moved to 9:30, but then kept going back and forth. So ended up being a mutual decision.
Even the adult time back then was
you couldn't do
nothing like it is now.
It was ultimately a mutual decision not to do another season. But here's the craziest trivia. They did want to bring on a new character in later episodes. They called this character the Bombshell. After unsuccessfully auditioning many actresses, they put out a cattle call where they found a pretty much unknown actress for the role. That actress's name was Michelle Pfeiffer. So she is in episodes of Delta House.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Maddie Simmons recruited John Hughes to write a script for the National Lampoon's next movie, titled Jaws 3 People Zero, directed by Joe Dante of Gremlins fame, and starring Bo Derek and Roger Bumpus, who is a voice actor that's known for many roles, including Squidward from SpongeBob SquarePants. The movie was canceled after Steven Spielberg complained it would tarnish his legacy and he would leave Universal Pictures if it got made. Apparently, he didn't have the same qualms about Jaws 3D and Jaws the Revenge.
I saw Jaws 3D in the theater.
With the 3D glasses?
Yes.
Nice.
With my friend Pete.
I believe Dennis Quaid was in that one.
I think so. And like an arm would float toward you, right? That got eaten when the shark chomped somebody and everything. I saw that in 3D at the theater. Can you believe that? Like, I think original Jaws was probably too early for me to have seen at the theater.
That would have been 76. So
yeah. So I would have been too young. But I saw Jaws 3D.
Nice. At one point, a Broadway musical was considered with Jack Black in the role of Blutarsky. He ultimately turned it down because he said he could never follow in Belushi's footsteps.
I don't think anybody can just redo what he did. What he did in that movie was just a singular thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, he never says anything, but his facial expressions are great. And Jack Black is great at similar things, but you can't just redo what somebody did.
What's funny, like that Maddie Simmons, the producer guy that started this, and Maddie Simmons, by the way, the one that produced this movie and wrote the book that I will talk about here in a second, his first thing was he helped to found the Diners Club card.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
He was like, the first three cards were like 1,000, 1,001, 1,002, and his card was like 1,001 or something. Then he went on to invest in a little company called Weight Watchers.
Oh.
And then eventually it led him to being the founder of National Lampoon magazine.
Really?
Quite a trajectory. He's a little older. I mean, he was like 50 at the time of this movie.
And National Lampoon, like, is that was based kind of on the Harvard Lampoon, which was a fake newspaper from Harvard, right?
Yes. And the people that came out of that, it was crazy how many people came out of that. One more piece of trivia.
They made some other good movies, such as
they did.
Vacation.
The Christmas Vacation.
All the Vacations. Yeah.
Going back to what you said earlier. The kid that thanks God for the girl falling into his bed later became a pastor in the town where the parade was shot.
Oh, in the town?
A story
gosh.
appeared in the local paper when he was ordained that said, "Lucky boy, still thanking God."
Oh my gosh.
I thought that was hilarious.
That's pretty wild.
Let's now go on to our companions segment. This will be quick. I just had a couple things. The book, Fat, Drunk, and Stupid by Maddie Simmons. I read it in like 2 days. It was amazing. That's where I got most of this like trivia stuff and everything. It was really cool. A music recommendation I actually have for this. Listen to Sam Cooke live at the Harlem Square Club. That includes the, What a Wonderful World, Don't Know Much About History song. But I mean, that's the epitome of that era of music.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have any companions that you had thought about for this one?
No.
No, that's fine.
No.
All right, now we're going to do a segment called Favorites. We're going to do our favorite character, our favorite line, and our favorite scene/shot. I'll go first. My favorite character, this is going to be kind of surprising, but my favorite character is Boone because he is deadpan and just an absolute smartass. And that just fits me to a T. So I love Boone.
Now, for me, it's Otter because I imagine myself in college being that guy with the serious room that has all that stuff in it. Like when he flips the switch and the music comes on and everything. And he's got, like, he's the guy. Dude, I smoked a pipe when I was in college. Now, granted, I was no Otter, but he is by far my favorite character.
Nice.
Fraternity Rush Chairman.
Damn glad to meet you. So my favorite line in this one is probably going to have to be I recommend you start drinking heavily. I think I'm going to go with our recommend. Yeah, it's
Yes.
pretty funny.
There are a lot of
There's
lines
so
like
many
that are good. Mine, as I hinted, has to be 7 years at college down the drain.
Nice. Favorite scene or just shot? I would probably have to go with Bluto breaking the fourth wall while he's on the ladder.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's my favorite.
I'm actually torn between two. So the absurdist side of me says that it's gotta be the guy measuring the horse.
Yes.
While Dean Wormer is having the serious conversation with the mayor, Carmine.
Yeah.
Right? And he's just measuring the horse and they keep cutting between the two guys talking and the guy measuring the horse. Or the shout one where it's just so good. I mean, that whole thing, it's a toga party. They're having fun. The band is playing Otis Day and the Nights. That's great. I don't even know which to say.
You can have a tie.
It's a tie to
That's
me.
fine.
Those are both
two totally different
fantastic
things
scenes.
too.
Yes.
So, final thoughts and rating. You picked this movie, so I'm going to let you go first. Out of 5 stars.
I mean, it's 5 stars.
I figured.
As many times as I've seen it, it's still hilarious.
Yeah.
I just can't. Now it's interesting. I read a review today that said somebody had their, say in their 20s, child watch it, and the child didn't think it was funny at all.
Yeah.
And I can kind of see that. I guess I understand. Like, the world has changed a lot since this came out. And, maybe, I don't even know. But just as many times as I've seen this and the lines that have entered the vernacular.
Oh, yeah.
It is just a hilariously funny movie. And I watched it again, and I still think it's hilarious.
How many times did you watch it for this? 1 or 2?
Just one.
But you've known it so well.
But I've known it so well, and I know the lines, and they all came back to me. I knew what they were about to say.
So I watched this like a year and a half ago for the first time in a while, and I was like, I don't think this is as good as I remembered. Doing all the research, watching it now, really digging deep on it. I'm going to go 4.5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it. I think had I had some sort of college life like that, I probably would have given it 5 stars.
Yeah.
I never lived in a dorm. I never was in a frat, nothing like that. And I think having that kind of experience makes this movie hit harder
Probably.
for somebody.
There are lots of characters
my
at college.
God,
living on
is it
campus.
funny? John Belushi is amazing.
He
the
is
fact
amazing.
that guy died like 5 years after this is
Yeah.
just so sad.
It is sad.
He just couldn't control his, his obsessions, his demons, and it just
Well, it was
killed him.
I mean, even now, but back then it was tough times for stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? It was coming out of the 60s. There was a lot of stuff around. When you were famous, there were lots of temptations, as
Yeah.
there always are, I suppose. But at the time, there were no things telling you to stop. And it's very sad because he was so talented. He
really was.
so funny. And by all accounts, just a nice guy.
Right.
Right?
And that's it. We did it. Episode 1 in the books. Our next episode.
It's so different than what we did before.
Yeah.
Sitting here, having drinks,
Right.
talking about a movie.
Trying to not go point by point in the plot was really the main difference I think I had in this one.
Yeah.
So, my pick for the usual is up next, and I will be very interested to get to see where you land on this one. But our next episode will be episode 2, and it's going to be the movie Clerks from 1994.
I have seen this, if you can believe it.
I believe it.
I've seen it twice.
Wow. I've seen it at least 37
I'm
times.
certain of that. Yes.
But whereas you were in a frat, a dorm, things like that, I was a clerk.
You were a clerk.
I was a clerk.
Exactly.
So I will be able to, share my experiences based on that. But that's it. Thank
All
you,
right.
Charlie.
Thank you, Mike.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Spirited Movie Companions. If you'd like to send us a message, you can do so at bottledandbondpod@gmail.com. Until next time, make yourself some popcorn, grab a comfy seat, and find yourself a spirited companion. Goodbye.